In the last lesson, we learned some basic note names and their relative durations. In this lesson, we're going to assign numerical values to the note durations. But before we can proceed, we first need to define what beat is. People often comment that a song has a nice beat, when what they're actually referring to is the song's rhythm. Although beat and rhythm are often used interchangeably, they are not the same thing. Rhythm deals with the relative duration of sound, whereas beat is a unit of measurement. Let's explain what is meant by this. When we measure the physical length of a thing, we may do so using different units of measurements, such as inches, feet, yards, miles, etc. Let's say that we wanted to measure something using inches. When we do so, we are designating the inch as our unit of measurement by assigning to it a value of 1. We can apply this same concept of measurement to musical notes, but instead of measuring physical length, we will be measuring duration of time. Any type of note may be chosen as the unit of measurement if we assign to it a value of 1. In this lesson, we will be studying what happens when we assign a value of 1 to the quarter note. By assigning a value of 1 to the quarter note has been designated as the beat, or the unit of measurement, by which we will measure the duration of all other notes. Let's look at some examples. In the last lesson, we learned that the duration of a quarter note is 1/4 the duration of a whole note. If we assign a value of 1 to the quarter note, the whole note will therefore be equal to a value of 4. In musical terms, when a quarter note equals 1 beat, the whole note equals 4 beats. In the next 4 audio clips, the clicking sound represents the quarter note, or the value of 1. The piano sound represents all the other notes. We also learned in the last lesson that the duration of a quarter note is 1/2 the duration of a half note. If we assign a value of 1 to the quarter note, the half note will therefore be equal to a value of 2. In musical terms, when a quarter note equals 1 beat, the half note equals 2 beats. Remember, a half note is not half a beat. Its name comes from its relation to the whole note. We also know from the previous lesson that the duration of a quarter note is twice the duration of an eighth note. If we assign a value of 1 to the quarter note, the eighth note will therefore be equal to a value of 1/2. In musical terms, when a quarter note equals 1 beat, the eighth note equals 1/2 of a beat. Remember, an eighth note is not an eighth of a beat. Its name comes from its relation to the whole note. And finally, we know that the duration of a quarter note is 4 times the duration of a 16th note. If we assign a value of 1 to the quarter note, the 16th note will therefore be equal to a value of 1/4. In musical terms, when a quarter note equals 1 beat, the 16th note equals 1/4 of a beat. Remember, a 16th note is not a 16th of a beat. Its name comes from its relation to the whole note. Here is a helpful chart that shows the quarter note as the unit of measurement and its relation to all the other notes we've learned thus far. Half notes and whole notes are called multiples of the unit, since they are doubles and quadruples of the unit. Eighth notes and 16th notes are called subdivisions of the unit, since they are halves and fourths of the unit.